Ladies and gentlemen, first I thank the leadership of the International Finance Forum for inviting me to say a few words at the opening of the annual meeting. The state of the world today is far from the dream of international cooperation, peace and harmony. There is no consensus on the reasons for this either. How do I think we got into this, and how can we make improvements? How can the EU and China contribute to this? The current fragmentation is mainly due to the lack of respect for international treaties and for the rules of free and fair trade. Obviously, respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of countries is essential. If not, it ends in trade wars and military wars, among others. Even the possibility of using nuclear weapons is now openly discussed. In this sense, we even live in a dangerous world, which is more than just a fragmented world. Fragmentation at a global level often has a counterpart at the domestic level as well. Social cohesion is lacking in all our societies. Key multilateral socio-economic organizations no longer function properly or even at all. Those organizations obviously need reform and modernization, but they remain very useful if they are allowed to work. If there are trade disputes, and there are, the World Trade Organization should be able to decide them. That has not been the case for some years now. We are certainly not in the situation of the 30s, with widespread hidden or open protectionism and a beggar-my-neighbor policy. However, we are moving in the wrong direction. The EU and China continue to favor a multilateral order that has brought much prosperity to the world. I would add that the existence of military conflicts since 2022 has again put security high on the political priority list in many countries. The political agenda intersects with the economic agenda. Economic policy is so related to political economy. The EU too wants to take fewer risks on security, but at the same time continues to push for free and fair trade. We hope to soon conclude the biggest free trade agreement in its history with, among others, two major Latin American countries. Fragmentation is also reflected in the emergence of political blocs around the world, which means that cooperation and trade increasingly threatens to be conducted only with like-minded countries. Nobody wants a return to the Cold War, but not enough is being done to avoid it. It should not be lip service. The underlying reason for all this is the blurring of the idea of international or global interest in favor of purely national interest or even nationalism. Where we need this mindset least is climate. The threat to humanity is so great that geopolitical rivalries would have to give way for it. If there is one domain where cooperation should be safeguarded despite everything, it is climate. The climate disasters occurring all over the planet are a constant reminder of this. The 190 countries made concrete commitments in Paris almost 10 years ago on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and on international security. But implementation is not following. On biodiversity, the situation is much worse. China and the EU have a big responsibility on climate. In any case, dialogue remains more necessary than ever. There was no such dialogue in the 30s. The negotiating table was then replaced by the battlefield. That is happening again now in some places. The best way to have peace is not to start a war. If there is no war, one should not negotiate peace either. Dialogue must go hand in hand with the political will to reach solutions. If not, it becomes an empty exercise. That, by the way, will not last long. Dialogue can also only be productive if there is trust between global actors. That trust is not there now, or not enough. I reiterate that restoring trust implies respect for the international rule of law. Dialogue is not just a matter of the top. Through human contacts, there is dialogue bottom-up. Those contacts, especially from young people and students, do not have an immediate effect, but somehow they contribute to understanding each other. During the Cold War, these people-to-people contacts did not exist. Today, fortunately, they still do, also between the EU and China. We need to keep it that way. In the next 5 years, the EU will be working on industrial competitiveness, climate change and security, while at the same time seeking greater strategic autonomy. The Union does not fall back on itself, but remains as open as possible, taking into account the tense international context. There has been peace between the 27 European countries for 70 years, which is unique in its own history. The days of colonial wars are also long gone. There is no nostalgia for the past. On the contrary, we remain ready to cooperate for a sustainable, a just, a prosperous and peaceful world. The world craves stability to achieve all that. Everyone, especially the EU and China, must do their part to make this happen. Thank you so much.